The Amazon rainforest, among the most densely packed, complex environments on Earth. Strange birds, fierce insects, weird amphibians, and clever monkeys. 2.5 million species, all with one goal in common: to mate and pass on their genes to the next generation. Some commit for life, others die trying, all consumed with finding love in the Amazon. With every dawn, it bears repeating that call. It tells the world, this is our territory. We told you yesterday, and we will tomorrow too. But for this pair of dusky Titi monkeys, the message holds a double meaning. Their daily shout-out is also a declaration to each other. They're in the throes of first love, and they're not shy about shouting it from the treetops. The male is 4 years old. He reached sexual maturity at around 2 and left his family a year later looking for love. With hormones raging, it's an exciting time in his life. He's found himself a mate, a female of the same age. For both, this is it. They're monkey monogamists, part of just 5% of mammals who pair up for life. Singing love songs isn't their only way of letting the world know. Their tails also testify to it. Intertwining their tails reinforces their bond. It's the Titi approach to cuddling. Personal space is just not the Titi way. This morning, they're busy doing some essential tail maintenance. It's not just primping. Removing ticks and parasites is key to healthy skin. And there are always hard-to-reach places where you can use a helping hand. The more they groom each other, the more they cuddle, the more tightly bonded they seem to become. A good thing, because these two are beginning the greatest test of their lives. Meet their little princess. She's 2 weeks old and tiny, weighing just 3.5 ounces. She's totally helpless, totally dependent on her parents for everything. Working together is their best shot at keeping their precious new daughter alive. But parenthood here is fraught with risks. An eagle is on the prowl. Titis aren't heavy, so they're a favorite target. The male gives an alert call. Enough said. The family lays low, concealed beneath the canopy's cover. It's their best hope. Sure enough, the eagle swings past, safe at last. Or at least, for another day. Sticking together pays off. A lesson lost on the Oropendola, a member of the New World blackbird family. His mating plan couldn't be further from the Titis. He's a polygamist. To prove it, he's got 30 nests he's guarding, one for each conquest. For hours now, he's been calling and strutting. Why stop at 30? He wants a new mate to join his harem. And he's scored some interest. But will she, or won't she? He ups his game, showing off his stamina with a passionate display. Male Oropendolas are the Casanovas of the bird world. And his prospect wants in on the action. In fact, she's impressed, because this heartthrob is not all show. If he's got the wherewithal to protect 30 nests, he'll be up for taking good care of her chicks when the time comes. Not all males of the Amazon have so many opportunities to mate. This Sarah longwing butterfly has only got days left to live. He's nearing the end of his 6-month-long life and is looking for a chance to pass on his genes. It's an exhausting quest, and he needs nourishment. He's memorized the location of his favorite flowers in his home range and has a mental map to find them. The Lantana camera flower is the reason he's lived so long, because its pollen is high in protein. Most species of butterfly eat only nectar, sugar and water, which is low in nutrition, so they live only a few weeks. With its protein supplement, the Sarah longwing is one of the longest living butterflies on Earth. Every day counts for the lovelorn. He's fueling up for one last push. Find a female or die trying. It's a driving challenge for animals, the search for a mate. Though they don't all depend on a wing and a prayer. Some rely on their swagger. This young stud is looking for love. The capybara is the world's largest rodent. At 2 years old, he weighs in at over 100 pounds. His claim to fame, that growth on his snout, a scent gland. It's called a murillo, and the larger it is, the more testosterone he's got. Like many capybara males, he's solo, expelled from his family after the dominant male chased him away. Now he's looking for a new herd and a hookup. The best hope for this rodent Romeo is ranging along the riverbank. Scent is his calling card, and he needs to find a choice spot to leave his mark. This is the perfect post for the job. He's telling all females that he's available. He returns to the bank for a snack when he spots something irresistible on the opposite riverbank. A bevy of young females. One problem: they're taken. It's a harem of 10, a family of several females along with their babies, but, most important, a dominant male. He's head of the harem, and he's worked his way up, sparring tooth and claw with the other males to win mating rights. His females should be off limits, but the young stud isn't about to let that stop him. Some of them are unguarded at the edge of the group. This is his chance. He's going to sneak in and steal them from right under the dominant male's nose. Or so he hopes. The scent of the young buck is like a siren for the older male. Youth won't triumph over experience, not if he can help it. Young Romeo swaggers out of the water. He's unaware the dominant male is ready and waiting. It's a stare-off. The young buck thinks better of it and heads back to the river. All the dominant male had to do was stare. He's young and time is on his side. Next time, he'll be all the readier to stand his ground. Throughout the Amazon, males fight for love. In fact, for any given species, the bigger the size difference between males and females, the more likely it is that the males compete. If you're big enough to beat the other guy, you must be healthier and stronger and have the genes to match. At least that goes for most mammals and birds. For lizards and amphibians, and for many insects, females are almost always larger than males. One species takes this size difference to extremes. When a male golden orb spider approaches a female, it takes all his courage. He's less than a quarter of an inch long. His femme fatale, this leggy beauty, is almost 10 times his size. She's temperamental and highly aggressive. If she senses him and she's not in the mood, she'll devour him in a flash. One false step and he's a goner. She's capable of capturing bats and even small birds, so the male would be finger food. Dallying too long on her web is a dangerous proposition for him and for her other male suitors. Anything stuck here is at her mercy. Golden orb silk is 10 times stronger than steel and more flexible than nylon. This, poor soul, a lubber grasshopper, is next on her menu. She'll kill it first with a venomous bite, then inject digestive fluids into its carcass. Once it's liquefied, she'll drink grasshopper soup. The same gruesome fate awaits the male if his timing is wrong. But if it's right, the next victim will become nourishment for his offspring. The female detects prey by sensing vibrations on her web. so the male has got to let her know that he's not potential food. He taps out a special code. He's signaled her a few times now, and she hasn't attacked. The time has come to seize his moment. He sneaks up behind her. While she's distracted, he sneaks underneath. Success! He's mated. And better yet, he's still alive. He's now got spiderlings by the hundreds on the way. Not that he'll be sticking around to meet them. This is the ultimate single mom. Raising babies in the rainforest is no easy task. The leafy canopy hides all kinds of dangers. And there's no room for complacency. One mistake could spell disaster. Relaxing in the midday heat, the Titi doesn't see a deadly predator on the move. A boa constrictor, blending perfectly with its surroundings. Ambush predators, boas squeeze their prey to death, cutting off the blood supply, killing them in minutes by cardiac arrest. If it gets much closer, the Titis could lose their precious infant. An adult Titi, let alone a baby, is no match for a powerful snake like this. Lucky for the Titis, they share this tree with a troop of saddleback tamarin monkeys who are on the watch. As the boa slithers up the tree, the tamarins spot the invader and sound the alarm. Now on high alert, the Titi monkey family quickly retreats, though all eyes are on the snake. The calls of the tamarins, loud and constant, alert the rest of their own group. There's a lethal threat. Their teamwork and vigilance have paid off. Both families are safe. For the Titis, this has been a vital lesson. You've got to pay attention to every cue in the rainforest, including a heads up from other species. But as new parents, this has been a bombshell. They could have lost their newborn. If they're going to make it as a family, they've got to up their game. The tamarins have already proven they're a power couple. They've got 2 grown females who are sticking around to help their parents. It's a good thing, since Mom will soon give birth again. Saddleback tamarins are mostly polyandrous, which means 2 males share and mate with a female, and together they all look after the young. Because tamarins usually have twins, polyandrous relationships increase the odds of their young survival. 2 dads give Mom more time to forage, for the double calories she needs to feed 2 offspring. In fact, every member of the family is expected to pitch in. Her grown-up daughters are old enough to leave the group and start families of their own. But to make sure they stick around to help out with this year's offspring, manipulative mom exerts some invisible control. By releasing strong pheromones and acting in a dominant way towards her daughters, she actually stops them from ovulating. The result, they show no interest in finding mates of their own or leaving the family group. Instead, the daughters stay close to home, dutifully helping mom to raise the next generation. In return, the daughters learn the vital skills they'll need for when they become moms. Our last chance lover is following a new lead. He's finally picked up the scent of a female Sarah Longwing, a beacon of pheromones. Nestled in her cocoon, she's almost ready to emerge. Male Sarah Longwings will gather around a pupa for up to a week, hoping to mate as soon as the female emerges. Some don't even wait, breaking open the cocoon before she's ready, sometimes killing her in the process. For 7 days, she's been undergoing an incredible transformation. Using digestive fluids, she's liquefied her old caterpillar body and then rebuilt it, reorganizing all her cells into the form of a butterfly. It could be another 2 hours before she's completed her course and is ready to start her new life. She should be at her most vulnerable, but she's got a survival tactic in the wings. As caterpillars, Sarah Longwings feast on the toxic passion vine plant. Lethal to most, these cyanide compounds fill their tissues so they taste disgusting. Now, as a butterfly, the female still carries that toxic taste, so virtually nothing would want to eat her. Her transformation complete, she's not going to stick around. She's hungry. As she's happily feasting away, her Casanova tags along. He's got to reach her before she flits off. If he mates, he'll leave a parting gift with her. A chemical anti-aphrodisiac that will make her repulsive to other males. He positions himself nearby and wafts his own pheromones towards her, showing her how desirable he is. She's not interested, but he's not dissuaded. He follows her and repositions himself. This time, his scent scores. The female approaches for a closer smell. But she's in no rush. This male, it turns out, is past his prime. She doesn't have to settle for the first butterfly that comes along. She has her whole life ahead. 6 long months left to choose who will fertilize her precious eggs. For this male Sarah Longwing, it looks like the end of the line. Female 31 has joined the male Oropendola's harem. She's now busily building her nest. It will take her a week, all under the watchful eye of her mate. She's weaving together banana and palm leaves, her choice construction material for framing her home. She'll line the inside with soft bamboo fronds. Her nest-building ingenuity could be the difference between life or death for her chicks. Her mate has chosen the safest tree he could find. But real security rests on her shoulders. She hangs her unlikely nest from the end of a branch, one that must be so fragile it won't support the weight of a predator. Her nest has to be light enough to balance on the flimsy bough, but sturdy enough to withstand the wind and rain. It's a delicate balance, and the stakes are high. When she lays her eggs, she'll need her mate to help protect them. She'll have to leave her nest to find food, exposing her chicks to a threat so sinister that only her mate can guard against it. The avian nemesis of the Amazon. This cowbird might not seem that dangerous. Not when she's riding on the back of a capybara, digging up ticks and mites for lunch. But when it's time to lay her eggs, she's the bane of the other birds. This reluctant mother leaves her eggs in other birds' nests, letting the unsuspecting parents raise her chicks. The safety of Oropendola nests is particularly appealing. But the head of this family has other plans. There's no way he's going to let this moocher get away with it. Not on his watch. Until his chicks are reared, he's on high alert, ready to take on cowbird crashers. That's one reason females tolerate him being such a philanderer. His committed parenting more than makes up for it. The females can spend the next few months focused on feeding their chicks. Confident Dad will keep a sharp eye on security. When it comes to family affairs, squirrel monkeys have a much different approach. At just 12 inches tall, they live in troops of up to 50. Unlike Titi monkeys and saddleback tamarins, squirrel monkey males and females have separate hierarchies. The females stick together and barely tolerate the males, except for one time of the year, mating season. During this 8-week period, from mid-August to mid-October, the males are welcome. But they have to compete to access the females. This alpha male will command up to 70% of the action if he can stay on top. Raw aggression decides the pecking order. These squirrel thugs push each other to the limit. But it's ultimately the females who get to choose whom they'll mate with and when. Males are usually heavier than females, by about a quarter of their weight. But in the pre-mating push, a major change in the male's hormones triggers poundage. In 2 months, this alpha male's body mass has shot up by 20%. Now he's showing off his assets. His bulked up body has major advantages. It reinforces his status, gives him more heft to tackle rivals, and it makes him more attractive to females. Bigger dads mean stronger babies and better odds of survival in a dangerous world. More than half of squirrel monkeys won't reach their first birthday, and size is a definite advantage. The alpha male urine washes his hands and feet and scent marks the area. He wants to attract attention, both from the females and the competition, letting everyone know that he's staking his claim. And this female's noticed. But there's one problem. She's still got last year's baby in tow. If she's to successfully mate before the season is over, she needs to cut her little one loose, and fast. At this tender age, squirrel monkeys need to start standing on their own 2 feet. But Junior's got other ideas. Lots of jungle animals do their flirting in the daytime. That's when they can show off their bright colours and dazzling displays. But for creatures who are more vulnerable, it can be safer to wait till dark. Attracting attention to yourself has its risks. As dusk falls, it rings out. The plaintive call of a lost soul crying out for love. For this rainforest amphibian, scoring a date will test his endurance. This basin tree frog has been calling for hours. A love song just for a special someone. He's eager to get the interest of a female. And there's one who's eager to be interested. But he's not the only player in the pond. There's no shortage of studs here, competing for the same female. Tree frogs have been living in the Amazon for 60 million years. They're survivors, but they're also easy prey for snakes and spiders. The louder his calls, the more he draws attention to himself. But that's the price he has to pay to get the frog of his dreams. The louder and longer he calls, the better his chances. He's exhausted, but he needs to beat out the competition. Every minute he gets more tired and less able to hop away from the appetite fast approaching. A blunt-head tree snake could put a permanent stop to his calling. But it's all part of the female's game. She wants the males to prove their worth. Only those strong enough to call loudly for hours on end and still have the energy to avoid being eaten are worthy of the chance to fertilize her eggs and father her future offspring. This male is up for the challenge. His love song isn't the only one ringing out through the jungle. It's met by the unmistakable sound of a lovesick male cicada. Though each is just under 2 inches long, the sound of a swarm of cicadas can hit 115 decibels. Louder than a rock concert. It can permanently damage your ears. It's made by using a kind of musical drum in his abdomen. Like the tree frog, he's hoping a willing female will hear him. His call is as loud as his bravery. In this jungle, practically everything bigger wants to eat him. And his shout-out also tells them where he is. Lucky he has a survival strategy up his wing. With all the males singing at once, predators can't pinpoint where a specific call is coming from, and will abandon the hunt, leaving the cicadas to their serenading. For all the deafening decibels of the night, one animal on the forest floor is contentedly oblivious. This giant South American land snail is a mammoth mollusk, measuring a foot long. It's also completely deaf. It has no ears and no need for sound. Instead, it plays the mating game with a different rulebook. Any potential mate will do. It's not fussy, but the only way for it to find another snail is to track down another snail trail. This is not an easy world for a creature with just 1 foot to navigate. Even this giant, one of the biggest snails on the planet, is dwarfed by the obstacles of the rainforest floor. Besides being deaf, it's got pretty poor sight. Tiny eyes on the tips of stalks that can retract for safety and unfurl when the coast is clear. Its strongest senses are taste and smell. Lower tentacles sense the way, detecting traces of food and mates. Once it's found another giant snail, its journey is over, thanks to a secret weapon. The giant snail is a hermaphrodite, both male and female. Each individual lays eggs and also produces sperm. If it's lucky enough to find a mate, they'll both fertilize each other's eggs at the same time, producing 2 sets of new offspring. It still takes 2 snails to tango, but making the most of every mating opportunity sure helps guarantee success. Persistence has paid off for the basin tree frog. He's run a mating marathon. After grueling hours, success. He's won the ultimate prize. Outlasting all the other males, he's proven his mettle to the female. But now another marathon begins. One that could be even longer. They'll stay joined together for hours, exposed and vulnerable. An easy target for anything that wants a two-course meal. Mating is a lengthy process, as the female has to release more than 2,000 eggs, which the male then fertilizes. From their one fling, they'll soon have thousands of offspring. But first, they have to survive the night. It's the start of a new day. And for some, the mating stakes are that much higher. For squirrel monkeys, breeding season is almost over. The pressure is on. This female still needs her 6-month-old son to take his first steps to independence. It's her one hope of being freed up to find a mate. But Junior is resisting. She's got no choice but to get tough. All babies have to be weaned, but male squirrel monkeys eventually face the same fate. To prevent inbreeding, sons have to leave and find a new troop to join. To ensure the best genes for their babies, females need to pick the fittest males. So they have to pay attention to any clues the males leave behind. Mothers actually synchronize their breeding so they can give birth within 2 weeks of other females. Having multiple infants in the troop improves their odds of survival. It also gives them the advantage of growing up with playmates their own age. Her clingy son is finally exercising some independence. She lays down a chemical signal to advertise her readiness to mate. And it looks like she's got a taker. If the mating is successful, their young won't arrive for another 5 months. Time enough for Junior to finally cut loose. While the male won't stick around to raise his young, the troop's got plenty of mums to help out. Titi monkey males are stay-at-home dads. He does almost all of the carrying, not so hard when his daughter is so little. For now, she's still small enough to play piggyback and stay safe on Dad's back. But growing up 82 feet above ground is easier said than done. Any fall could be fatal. She's born with an instinct to cling to her parents. When you get bounced around this much, you've got to keep your grip. One day, she'll take her first tentative steps out onto the canopy herself. Until then, there's just one thing her father can't give her: milk. She'll be suckling for another 5 months. But only her mother can give her that. As rain sets in, the temperature drops. This little Titi needs to feed every 4 hours. But her mother is nowhere to be seen. She's off foraging for some much-needed extra calories to keep up her milk supply and ensure her little one is nourished. She needs to feed on protein-rich insects. The father launches his search for her. Titi monkeys become anxious when they're separated from their significant others, and she's too attached to her mate to abandon him. She's got to be close by. Their daughter is so small, she can't go for long without food. She's got no chance of surviving if something's happened to Mom. The stresses of parenting, no species is immune. As he rounds the corner, there she is. Not a moment too soon, because a welcome meal awaits. As soon as she's done feeding, she clambers back over to parent number 1, her adoring father. Abundant as the jungles of the Amazon are, finding love and raising a family can still be a challenge. For some, it means pairing up for life. For others, it's fleeting, or simply a numbers game. For the Titis, their cooperation has kept their family together, a rare bond that could last this couple for their entire 20-year lives. But one thing is certain: love in all its forms triumphs here in the rainforest.